everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Tube, where it's our show where we normally review things in the world of television, whether that is an episode-by-episode review of on-air shows, season-by-season reviews of shows that have a lot to work with, or doing these quick impressions where I recently watched the show, binged it, however it may have been consumed, and I talk about it in a non-spoiler fashion. And today, we're talking about The Good Doctor. I'm going to be completely honest with you. It was definitely a show that was on my radar. It wasn't anything that was planned in my head for like, at least, I want to say, months or years. Like, I knew about the show, I was intrigued by it, but I had just finished Grey's Anatomy, which is ABC's longest running medical drama, so I didn't want to go into another ABC medical drama so soon, so I put it on the radar, but I was aware of it. It was something I would have explored in the future, and the backdrop reason for me personally of watching this show is that we here on the show, on the channel, we review Nancy Drew, every episode reviewed. I'm starring none other than Kennedy McMahon, who is the star. She plays Nancy Drew. Sadly, this coming summer, Nancy Drew will come to an end with its fourth season, and I was so sad, and I was like, very much, disappointed, and I was obviously going to support her whatever show she does next, however long that might take, and she might have a whole new show coming out later on with the Good Doctor spinoff. So I was like, it's called The Good Lawyer. There's going to be a backdoor pilot that's coming out, I think, either next week when this is going up or this week. I don't know when this is coming out, so to speak. I just wrapped the show, so I want to get my my thoughts out of it because it's fresh. So I was excited. I was very happy for her that, like, immediately once Nancy Drew ends, she got another show on the air, and this time she will hopefully be on one of the big four network, which I'm so happy for her. This is great for her career. And Nancy Drew was her first big role, and now she's got her second big role already planned out. This is going to be great. So I knew going into it, like, I would want to watch it, Good Doctor, so I understand the concept of The Good Lawyer down the road. But I wasn't expecting it to be so soon, where I will be a little private. I had someone come over, and I was recommended The Good Doctor, so we watched 2 episodes of it, and I got hooked, because mainly the difference is that, one of my friends, she watched Grey's Anatomy, Good Doctor, Resident, a lot of the other medical drama shows that are on all the different platforms. It's just like every network needs to have a medical drama, because it's not easy to make, but it's kind of like one of those, like, you can add the fluff content and raise the dramatic factor by having these patients that do have real life issues. Like, these are real life diseases, real life situations that could occur. And it kind of fills in some of like, we could stretch out the lines and everything in the episode by having these scenes, as well as trying to fill in all the character drama stuff that occurs. So it seems like every network has that, so to speak. So ABC double dipping with, like, having 2 of them was like, okay, how do you separate the 2? How do you separate, this? And that's mainly in the titular character with Sean Murphy, who is the main character played by Freddie Higglemore, who I knew, or I've been aware of since I was a kid when he starred in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in 2005. So I knew of him, and I know he did a show in between that movie and this show called Bates Motel. No interest in it. It's a Psycho prequel, so I have no interest in that since I never watched Psycho. But yeah, so I knew he's been very around. He's been developing his acting chops. So here, playing an autistic character who wants to be a surgeon as well as, having every young adult problem, as well as having issues with someone being on the spectrum, it's very much something that kind of drew me into it. Like, I wanted to know his conflict. I wanted to know his struggle. Because in a bare bone logic, like, for me personally, again, this could be the Grey's Anatomy factor fitted to this, where, like, if you take in the beginning, if you take Sean Murphy out as a character, this is just another medical drama. Like, literally, if you take out him and all the characters that are related to him and all the storylines connect to him, this is just another medical drama. Like, 2 characters hooking up that are residents. Yeah, okay, I've seen them before. The internal higher-up staff fighting with each other. Yeah, I've seen them before. Like, again, that's the one problem, like, when you get to so many medical dramas, and this is, like, one of my friends' criticisms of this is that they kind of feel the same after a while. Like, what is the difference between this show and that show in a fundamental aspect of it? Like, what is it really? Like, how do you sell? Like, it is easy to sell the medical drama, but is it engaging enough to come in each and every week? And again, like, this is the last time I'll mention Grey's Anatomy for now, but, when Grey's came out, it was very much like, it's always existed, the concept of it, but I think Grey's Anatomy was like the first, very much, we are pushing sex. We are pushing the sex appeal of what a medical drama could be, and that's how it worked. Like, hell, it lasted for almost 20 years. And now the main actress just left. But that's a complaint for another time. But anywho, so going back into The Good Doctor, again, Sean Murphy as a character, I think, is one of the most well-performed characters I've ever seen recently in a TV show. Freddie Highmore does an amazing job portraying the role. And again, 6 seasons isn't that much. Like, a lot of shows don't even make it to like season 2 or 3. But the fact that they got 6 seasons, and so far, they've made the story organic, and they made, like, the characters, all of them welcoming and very much engaging in their own right, that for me, I'm like, I give applaud. That for now, if I have to vote between, and again, it gets the semantics of like, well, Grey's had 19 seasons, Good Doctor has 6, so you're going to have more bad than good with Grey's. I do get that around, but mostly, for now, honestly, I've never had an issue with Good Doctor. Like, in terms of like a major fundamental issue, I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. And, I actually binged it. Like, I actually took time out of my day to watch episodes. Like, I was playing Hogwarts Legacy, and I was more enamored by Good Doctor. Like, I want to watch 4 episodes of Good Doctor today instead of 2. Like, that's how much I want. I really liked the show. I really did. And again, like, if you don't know me from my other works on What's the Two, the main drive for me to watch any sort of TV show, whether that is binging, whether that is week to week or whatever, is the characters. Is the characters interesting enough for me to continue? Because, like, again, your story could be shit. Your story could be, like, not the best in the world. Let me rephrase that. But if the characters are engaging and you are very much wanting to see where these characters are going to end up, then I'm going to keep going. Then I will keep watching. I've survived so many bad seasons of television, but because I really want I like these characters, and I want to see what happens to them next. And hopefully they'll get back to a great place again that I'm very much joyful for. That was the case with The Good Doctor, where, like, again, there is no, like, overall story. It's like, yeah, it's Sean Murphy starting his residency at St. Bonaventure Hospital. And again, like every other medical drama, he's a resident, so he's starting out, in a 5-year path, and then that kind of, like, dictates the show for a while. Like, yeah, how does he survive these 5 years, as well as, beginning to open himself up more as a person who has been very isolated, who's been very much a straightforward, kind of a dick person, because, yeah, he has autism, which kind of has effects on his emotions, or the lack of emotions, and it affects his thought process and everything. And, he's at a critical age of his life. He's in his 20s, growing up, finally getting some independence, but also having to rely on others. And, and when we first begin the show, no one has faith in him. No one can ever expect, like, oh, he's going to be a problem. Like, whether that is going to be his response put or his workload. Like, there's so many factors that a lot of people put against him. And some of those same characters are still on the show until now, and seeing their, like, reaction to them, like, becoming from what they have the perceived concept of him to now their actual understanding of him is what really, like, drew me into the show. And the concept of, like, just seeing this character, it's the show effect where, like, oh, nothing interesting happens to them until the show begins, or they're loners, and then afterwards they get this, like, family, as people loosely call it, like, like they have, like, like for me, I reviewed The Rookie, which is also on ABC, like, there's, like, the main characters are a family, like, they have a group chat, they're going to each other's houses, dropping in, because they are, like, a well-knit group. They are, like, kind of like a family. So yeah, here it's like it takes a while to earn that status. It is not that easy to earn, like, a family status, and, like, with this show, it definitely took a longer process than normal, where being fascinating. And again, I will only spoil things in the first episode of the show. I will not spoil anything specifically in the remaining episodes. But just seeing how, like, you know, these characters interact with each other and just how much they grow and, like, you know, bond with each other. Because, again, like, you know, something that I learned in my real life is that, you know, work is part of your life. Like, it dictates so much of your life because, like, most of the time you are working 40 hours a week, which may not seem like a lot, but when it comes to, like, transportation and, like, you know, your personal life, it really makes a big difference. Like, that's a big chunk of your life that you're putting away. And you kind of have to, like, you know, form bonds and form relationships, whether you want to or not, with the people you work with, because that's kind of how the human nature is. And seeing Sean, like, you know, with the conditions he's presented with and, you know, what he has to go through day to day, you know, meet people that accept him, that respect him at the end of the day. Where, again, like, season 1 was mostly him having to showcase his talent, his worth to the team, and then eventually, as the seasons go on, like, having him have to, you know, actually, not willingly, he does not want to make friends whatsoever. He would personally just want to go to work, do his job, and go the fuck home. That's literally his motto. But, you know, he, you know, it inadvertently happens where, like, he kind of grows as a person, and it comes between two key relationships in the show, personally, for me, is that, his relationship with his father figure, Dr. Aaron Glassman, played by, I forgot the actor's name, but I've seen him in, like, my first knowledge of him came from the movie Ray back in 2004, which I didn't even know that was him. I didn't even know that was the same guy. I knew, like, they had such a familiar voice. Like, he played one of the musical producers for Ray Charles, back when he was still alive, and I was like, that voice sounds so familiar. And then he was in God of War Ragnarok. He played Odin, and then, like, I think he was in another show in between. But I was like, I knew this voice before, and I was like getting to see him again, like, older now. I'm like, oh my god, you age so much. But then seeing him here and, like, you know, having him, like, have this father figure role to him, where, like, Sean's upbringing was not the best. It was not the most pleasant one, and then having him be, like, the only good constant in his life growing up, where Sean has been through so much. He has, you know, had family issues. He lost people in his life, and, you know, growing up with the dream to be a surgeon, as well as having to, sadly, being on the spectrum, creates an even bigger challenge. Like, going to the medical field is one of the biggest and hardest career fields to get into. It really is, because you're dealing with you know, humans are putting their lives in these people's hands to save them, to take care of them. It is such a very difficult profession that takes a lot of years to get through, and then a lot of years to earn your place and earn their respect. It takes a lot, and for Sean to, like, eventually go through it all and then somehow come out on top, which is, like, it's kind of like an underdog story, and, like, you know, that's one of the draws of it. Like, you want to see someone that has so many struggles, more challenges ahead of them, and them getting through them and succeeding is, like, what people crave for, which that was one of the draws for me. Like, I wanted to see Sean succeed. I wanted him to, like, you know, earn the respect of everyone, like, slowly, you know, gain, you know, eventually perspective and you know, knowledge of everyone around him. And, like, you know, the Sean that you see in the beginning of the show to, like, where we are now is, like, two, at times, similar people, like, two radically different people. Like, he has grown so much, and I'm just, like, now thinking of it as, like, my god, like, there's such a big difference. And the other, like, the other reason of that is his relationship with Leah, not Leia, I was thinking Star Wars for a second, like, Leah, who is his love interest in the show. And they're, like, for me, I actually had to talk about this with one of my friends, my usual co-host on YouTube, George. He and I were talking about, like, the shows and the movies that we resonate the most with are the ones that, like, either came out at the right time of our lives, or we can relate to them to a bigger core. Where for me, Sean and Leah's relationship at the time of the show's beginning was, like, very much, like, similar, not like similar, I'm not saying, like, it was point to point, like, you know, next door neighbor type of vibes, but it was very much like, you know, there's a big journey ahead of them. Like, it's not an easy, you know, connection they have. And, you know, at times it was like, no, it's just this, but then at times, like, it can be more. And, like, you know, it's the, you know, the will they, won't they factor. And I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a scene in the third season where I'm just like, this Sean represents in that moment. And if you've already seen the show, you already know what I'm talking about. He showcases his feelings towards her in a very natural way, having dealt with her not dealt with her. I see having interactions with her for 3 years, and having that be released was like bravo. Like it, I can relate to that. I've had those moments, and having him deal with it, and I won't spoil how that outcome happened, but having him have the positive outcome of being able to release that energy was like bravo. Like bravo, you are one of the lucky ones. And it's very sweet, it's very genuine. Like opposites attract, and that's kind of them. Like they are not the same person, but deep down they bring out something in each other like they really need, and that they kind of need out of each other. Because sometimes it's not the similarity, it's the person, it's not even the person, it's just the underlying soul, let's call it. Like they need each other. Like they bring out something in the other that they couldn't go without once they get a taste of it. And it makes them like the couple you want to root for. It makes them the couple that has like a bigger outcome. And there's just a couple people that like just in general you want to see them have the best outcome, but you want them to have the most natural outcome possible. And yeah, like to say the least, like it's those were the two like mainly it was Sean and Leah's connection throughout the show that kept me going, that I want to see where this can go and where can this end up. It does do the TV drama thing where like there are tangents, there are like forks in the road, and but it's not about the destination, it's about the journey of getting there. And by the time I caught up to where the show is now with season 6, I was like, yeah, they're at the it's still not over. Like like their connection, I won't spoil what happens with them, but like they're still having problems, but like there's it's still very much like naturally organic, as the thing goes around. And I love it when shows do that. Like it's not a forceful change. It's not like we are forcing a new status quo, or we are forcing this plot line. Like, these are things that could naturally happen, whether it's with the characters or whatever kind of situation they're in. These are all natural. And I feel like when I was reviewing Grey's about a year ago, I said it was the most human story, where you are getting you are seeing a human lifespan so much with Meredith Grey at the time. This is a character story that you're intrigued by, and then you end up, being part of the rooting team. Where the moment you meet Sean Murphy, you like him, you want to see more of this character, you want to know more about this character, and you want to see where he goes. It's the underdog story that you want to see for the character you eventually want to root for, and hope that everything's all right at the end of the day. The journey's not easy. Like, his journey definitely was not the easiest so far, and I don't think it's over by a long shot, because the show still keep going on. But right now, this is the most engaged I've been with a medical drama, which I've only seen 2, but of the 2 I've seen, this is my favorite. This is very much my favorite. Kudos and respects to Grace, but and I'm sorry if I keep comparing the 2, but again, when ABC has 2 ongoing medical dramas, you kind of have to compare. You really have to, but it's all in the benefit of The Good Doctor. Like, so far, 6 seasons in, it is a show that I would hope to watch again in the future. It is definitely a show that I'm now interested in collecting. But that's down the road, so to speak. But for me personally, if I'm going to give this my highest recommendation of binging. It's going to be one of those shows that I trust ABC more as a broadcaster of they're always 95% of the time delivering great content, and this proves it. But I give The Good Doctor my highest recommendation of go binge it. You can find The Good Doctor only available on Hulu, so go check it out right now. New episodes of The Good Doctor are airing on Monday nights on ABC, I believe. So I have new episodes tomorrow to watch, which at the time of this recording, it's a Sunday night, so that's what I mean. But again, let me know in the comments below, what did you think of The Good Doctor? If you already watched it, if you already binged it, what are your thoughts on it? I would love to have a conversation with you down below. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Joe here from ActionX, doing What's in the Tube with this Good Doctor quick impressions. If you want to know what we're doing normally, What's in the Tube, besides these quick impressions, we are doing, again, episode by episode reviews, such as Perry Mason right now, Walker Independence. We are also doing season by season reviews, such as Doctor Who, Arrow. So that's cool as well. But if you like me talking about shows, I'm doing a lot of them each and every week. So please subscribe to us on youtube.com/ActionX videos. Ring the bell, like, favorite, share if you want to, and follow us on social media. But until we see each other again, for all you fans of the Good Doctor, sorry that was not the best segue. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you'll stay around. If not, have a good life. Stay safe out there. Be good to each other, and as always, peace out.